The sun flooded Gordon Wright's luxurious office, casting elongated shadows among the dark wood furniture. The light reflected off the polished surfaces, creating an atmosphere that, despite being elegant, carried the same loneliness that dwelled in the heart of the 38-year-old businessman. Sitting in his leather armchair, Gordon contemplated the photograph on his desk. Him and his mother, Claire, on a beach day several years ago. Claire, a 67-year-old woman with grey hair and piercing blue eyes, was now battling terminal cancer. The doctors had been clear, only a few months remained. This reality weighed on Gordon like an invisible anchor, pulling him into an abyss of worry and sadness. His phone rang, interrupting his thoughts. "Gordon, your mother is asking for you," informed Agnes, the nurse who was taking care of Claire. "Tell her I'll be home in an hour," he replied, rubbing his tired eyes. After hanging up, his gaze wandered beyond the glass walls of his office, where Kelly, the company cleaner, was meticulously cleaning the meeting room next door. Kelly had been working for the company for 5 years, ever since Michael, one of Gordon's best friends, had recommended her. Kelly was discreet, efficient, and, Gordon noticed at that moment, also lonely. At 32 years old, she had lost her parents in an accident when she was only 16 and was raised by a distant aunt. Gordon knew this from casual conversations in the hallways and from the brief interview he conducted when he hired her. Watching her work with dedication, an unexpected idea formed in his mind, an idea that could bring some comfort to his mother in her final months. Gordon stood up, adjusted his tie and headed to the door. He hesitated for a moment, acknowledging the absurdity of his plan, but the desire to see his mother happy once more outweighed any embarrassment. "Kelly!" he called, standing at the entrance of the meeting room. She turned, startled. Her brown hair was tied in a simple ponytail, and her green eyes expressed surprise at seeing the company's president addressing her. "Mr. Wright, may I help you?" she replied, straightening up and adjusting the light blue uniform. "Could you come to my office when you're done here? I need to discuss something with you." Kelly nodded, visibly confused. "Yes, sir. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Back in his office, Gordon paced back and forth, mentally rehearsing how he would propose something so unusual. It seemed crazy, even to himself, but the image of his mother repeatedly asking when he would find someone to share his life with haunted him. A soft knock on the door announced Kelly's arrival. "Come in," Gordon said, trying to sound casual. Kelly entered timidly, hands clasped in front of her body, a gesture that revealed her nervousness. "Please sit down," Gordon indicated, pointing to the chair in front of his desk. An uncomfortable silence lingered between them for a few seconds before Gordon mustered the courage to speak. "Kelly, I have a personal problem, and I believe you might be able to help me," he began, carefully choosing his words. "As you may know, my mother is very ill." "Yes, sir. I'm sorry," Kelly replied sincerely. Gordon took a deep breath. "She only has a few months to live, and her greatest wish is to see me married and happy before she leaves." He paused, observing Kelly's reaction. This has become an obsession for her, and it's robbing her peace in her last days. Kelly listened attentively, without understanding where that conversation was leading them. "What I'm about to propose is going to sound strange, but—" Gordon ran his hand through his dark hair, a gesture that betrayed his nervousness. "I would like you to pretend to be my fiancé in front of my mother, just for a few months to give her some peace." The silence that followed was almost palpable. Kelly blinked several times, trying to process what she had just heard. "I don't understand, Mr. Wright. Why me? You are discreet, responsible, and—" Gordon hesitated. "Lonely, like me. You don't have close family who could complicate the arrangement, and I can offer considerable financial compensation for your time and effort." Kelly frowned, contemplating the proposal. For a moment, Gordon thought she would stand up indignantly and leave. "How long would it be?" she finally asked. "No more than a few months, and it would be just a few visits per week. I promise not to interfere in your personal life more than necessary. Kelly looked out the window at the city skyline, then turned her gaze back to Gordon. Her eyes reflected a mix of confusion and compassion. Your relationship with your mother must be very special to consider something like this, she commented. Gordon nodded. She sacrificed everything for me. My father died before I was born, in a shipwreck. He was a fisherman. She was a seamstress and raised me on her own, working day and night. She never married again. She dedicated her life to me. His voice faltered slightly. It's the least I can do for her now. Kelly took a deep breath. All right, Mr. Wright, I accept. Gordon couldn't hide his surprise. Really? Thank you, Kelly. I really appreciate it. But I have some conditions, she added, with a firmness that Gordon didn't expect. First, no unnecessary lies. We'll keep the story simple. Second, when it's all over, I return to my normal position in the company without any awkwardness. And third, she hesitated briefly, I want the compensation to be a letter of recommendation so that I can study management. I've always wanted to, but never had the opportunity. Gordon agreed immediately. Done. And of course there will also be financial compensation. They agreed that next Sunday, Gordon would pick her up for lunch at his home, where he would introduce Kelly to his mother. When Sunday arrived, Gordon parked in front of the modest apartment building where Kelly lived. His heart was racing, a mix of nervousness and guilt for involving another person in his charade, no matter how well-intentioned it was. When he saw her coming out of the building, Gordon almost didn't recognize her. Kelly was wearing a simple yet elegant light blue dress that highlighted her eyes. Her hair fell loose over her shoulders, golden under the spring sun. A light scent of jasmine filled the car when she got in. You look different, commented Gordon, surprised. Kelly smiled shyly. I wanted to make a good impression. I brought a gift for your mother, she said, showing a small bag she was carrying. It's a box of chamomile and lavender tea. It's my favorite. Gordon felt a wave of gratitude. Kelly was really making an effort to make this charade convincing. Gordon's house was an elegant mansion in the suburbs, with a well-kept garden and a view of the lake. As they entered, Claire was waiting for them in the living room, seated in an armchair near the fireplace. Despite the illness that was consuming her, she maintained a dignified posture, and her eyes shone when she saw her son with whom she thought to be his future wife. Mother, this is Kelly Thompson, Gordon introduced, his arm hesitantly around Kelly's waist. My fiancé. Claire's face lit up with genuine joy. Kelly! Finally! Gordon has talked so much about you. Kelly, quickly taking the cue, smiled. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Wright. Gordon also speaks highly of you. She handed over the bag. I brought a small gift. When Claire opened the package and saw the tea, her eyes filled with tears. Chamomile and lavender. My favourite. How did you know, dear? Kelly and Gordon exchanged surprised glances. Intuition, perhaps, Kelly replied with a sincere smile. That lunch marked the beginning of an unexpectedly pleasant routine. Kelly visited Gordon's house 3 times a week. What started as a performance soon turned into something deeper. Kelly and Claire developed a genuine friendship. They exchanged recipes, stories, and often, Gordon found them laughing together like old friends. On a particularly beautiful afternoon, while Claire was resting, Gordon and Kelly sat in the garden. Thank you, he said, breaking the silence. My mother hasn't smiled like that in a long time. Kelly watched the flowers sway in the breeze. Your mother is wonderful, Gordon. I understand why you would do anything for her. It was the first time she had called him by his first name, and something about that intimacy stirred Gordon. And you, Kelly? You never talk about yourself. She shrugged. There's not much to say. I lost my parents early, grew up with an aunt who did her best, but was never very affectionate. I've worked from a young age to support myself. I dreamed of studying but could never afford it. And relationships? Gordon asked, surprising himself with his curiosity. Kelly smiled sadly. A few. Nothing serious. It seems I never found the right person, or perhaps I didn't know how to recognize them. That conversation changed something between them. In the following weeks, Gordon found himself eager for Kelly's visits. He noticed details that had previously gone unnoticed. How she bit her lip when she was thoughtful, how her eyes lit up when she laughed, how attentive she was with his mother. October turned into November, and November into December. Claire's health fluctuated, but her spirits remained high, especially when Kelly was around. One night after Kelly had left, Claire called Gordon to sit beside her bed. "My son," she said, holding his hand, "I have little time. I want to see you married to Kelly before I go." Gordon swallowed hard. What had started as a compassionate lie was now becoming more complex. "Mum, don't talk like that. You're going to live for a long time." Claire smiled gently. "We both know the truth, Gordon. Please grant me this last wish. I want to see you happy and settled." That night, Gordon couldn't sleep. How could he ask Kelly to carry the charade even further? And why did the idea of marrying her, even symbolically, not seem as absurd to him as it should? The next day, he found Kelly at the company, cleaning one of the conference rooms. "We need to talk," he said, closing the door behind him. Kelly stopped her work, noticing the seriousness in his tone. "Did something happen with Claire?" "She wants to see us married," Gordon replied bluntly. Kelly placed the cloth she was using on the table. "I understand," she said simply. "I know it's asking too much. You've already done much more than agreed. But if we could organize a small ceremony, just for her..." To his surprise, Kelly nodded. "Okay, Gordon. Let's do this for Claire." The relief he felt was accompanied by a confusion of emotions that Gordon couldn't decipher. Why did Kelly's agreement make him so happy? In the following weeks, they organized a small wedding. It would be held in Gordon's garden with only a few close friends, those who agreed to take part in the charade out of compassion for Claire. On the eve of the ceremony, Gordon found Kelly in the garden, looking at the stars. "Nervous about tomorrow?" he asked, approaching. Kelly turned, and Gordon noticed that her eyes were moist. "A little. I never thought my first wedding would be like this." Something in the way she said that made Gordon's heart ache. "Kelly, It's all right," she interrupted with a forced smile. "It's for a good cause." Gordon wanted to say something more, but they were interrupted by Agnes, who was running towards them with a pale face. "Mr. Wright, quick! It's your mother!" They rushed to Claire's room. The doctor was already there, but it only took one look to understand that it was too late. Claire Wright had passed away peacefully in her sleep. The days that followed were a blur of funeral arrangements, condolences, and a profound sense of emptiness. Kelly stayed by Gordon's side during the funeral, offering a silent support that meant more than any words could express. After it was all over, Kelly disappeared. She didn't return to the company, and when Gordon went to her apartment, he discovered that she had moved out. Guilt consumed him. He had dragged her into his life, his drama. And then, when the charade was no longer necessary, she simply vanished. It was a week later that Gordon found the letter. It was on his desk, a simple envelope with her elegant handwriting. Gordon. Dear Gordon, when you read this, I'll already be on my way to my aunt's house in the countryside. It's better this way. These months have been more significant than I can express. Meeting you and Claire was an unexpected gift in my life. Claire was the mother I always wished to have, and you, well, you became much more than my boss or friend. The problem is that I got too involved in this charade. I ended up falling in love with you, Gordon, and that wasn't part of the arrangement. Thank you for everything, and I hope you find peace and happiness. With love. Kelly. Gordon reread the letter several times, feeling a mix of shock and clarity. Suddenly everything made sense. The emptiness he felt was not just from the loss of his mother, but also from Kelly. Without thinking twice, he picked up the phone and called Michael, who had recommended Kelly 5 years earlier. "I need to find her," he said simply. 2 hours later, Gordon was driving at high speed to the city's train station. Michael had confirmed that Kelly would catch the 5 p.m. train to visit her aunt, the only family she had left. The clock read 4:55 p.m. when Gordon rushed into the station. His eyes scanned the crowd until he saw her, Kelly, with a small suitcase, walking toward the platform. "Kelly!" he called, running in her direction. She turned around, her green eyes wide with surprise. "Gordon? What are you doing here?" "Don't go," he pleaded, catching his breath. "Please." Kelly shook her head, confused. "You read my letter. I got too involved and ended up falling in love. It's better for everyone if I leave." Gordon held her hands. "I fell in love too, Kelly. What started as a charade turned into the most real thing I've ever felt." Tears shimmered in her eyes. "You're confused, Gordon. You've lost your mother. You're vulnerable." "No," he interrupted firmly. "I've never been more certain of anything. I don't need time to know what I feel. When you're not around, I miss you. When you are, I'm happy. It's as simple as that." The train announcement echoed through the station, but Gordon barely heard it. "Marry me, Kelly. This time for real. No audience, no pretense, just the two of us." Kelly looked at him deeply, as if searching for any sign of doubt. She found none. "Yes," she finally whispered, as a tear ran down her face. "Yes, I will marry you, Gordon Wright." As they embraced, Gordon felt a peace he hadn't experienced in a long time. Perhaps in some way his mother was watching over them, smiling. What had begun as a compassionate lie had transformed into the deepest truth they had ever known. Kelly let her suitcase fall to the ground and stood on her tiptoes to kiss him. Around them, life at the station continued, but for Gordon and Kelly in that moment the world had stopped. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.